Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to today's workshop from Travel Tech Academy and hsmai. My name's Jackie Douglas. I'm president of hsmai Asia Pacific, and I'll kick off by giving you a quick overview of what the hsmai Association does, and then I will hand over to Tammy, who will give you a lot of information, and then after the session you'll get a link to do a quiz, and if you complete the quiz you will get a certificate from Travel Tech Academy. During the session we'll do some polls that you can just answer quickly and you'll see the results straight away, so Tammy will prompt you to do that when those polls are coming up. So I will get started. I can see that people are on board now, so we'll get started. That's the agenda. I already said that. Okay, so hsmai, it stands for the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International. There's 4 regions to the association. It's 95 years old. It's, we're getting towards 100. It's been around a long time. And the 4 regions are the Americas, Europe, Asia Pac, which I look after, and the Middle East is our newest region. We look after the disciplines of revenue management, sales and marketing, which sort of includes digital marketing and distribution and e-commerce. So any sort of commercial area for hotel businesses and accommodation. We do everything from getting people from a entry level skilled up to getting people certified when they are already experts. And then we have a lot of interaction with the senior leaders in the industry as well. If you've heard of us before, it's probably through the CRME, which is the Revenue Management Certification. We also have digital marketing, and we have a CHBA, and that's like a mini certification for general managers where you simulate being a general manager of a hotel. You'll get access to these slides after the session. I'll email you out a link. And so you'll be able to look up more information on any of this, and you'll also get Tammy's slides as well. Our academy has certifications, online courses and certificate programs in those disciplines that I mentioned before: revenue management, sales, digital marketing and commercial. Here's a few that I picked out that would go with the topic today, which is about learning about revenue strategy, developing your SWOT analysis, and competitive value analysis, which is teaching you how to price your rooms. When COVID gives us a chance to, we'll start doing some workshops around the Asia Pac region. Tammy and I are both involved in that. We have 4 or 5 trainers that come around and we do 2-day workshops. So if you want to, when you get the link after the session, you can subscribe to the newsletter and we'll tell you when those workshops are on. Okay, so now we're going to hand over to Tammy Matthews. Tammy's the founder of Revenue, which is a consultancy that helps hoteliers with sales, marketing and revenue. Over to you, Tammy.
Thanks, Jackie. Welcome along today, everyone. We are looking at what to review from last year, what that means and what to do with it. So as Jackie said, my name is Tammy. I run a company called Revenue, and we specialize in revenue, sales, marketing and distribution for the independent hotelier. Now, recently I was reading an article put out by hsmai. They had interviewed revenue managers around the world and asked them how much time they spend on certain tasks each week. And one of the most interesting numbers that came back was that on average, revenue managers spend 8 weeks every year creating a budget. That is 8 weeks full-time hours, or to put it a different way, That is 320 labour hours spent on a budget. Now, if you're like me, I'm a little bit sceptical on whether that time has a good return on investment. Once upon a time, I worked in a hotel in London in 2008, otherwise known as the GFC. The GFC started in London in August and it hit hard and fast. We went from so far ahead of budget to so far behind budget in a couple of months. We were dictated by our head office that we had to write the budget with a 4% increase year on year. That budget took us quite a bit of time to write, probably close to the 8 weeks, and yet it was incredibly irrelevant to what was happening in the local environment. We wrote that budget, we didn't even bother printing it out, we sent it off to head office, we ticked a box, and we never looked at it again. How much time are you spending reviewing things that are relevant to growing the profit of your business? When you look at what you review, do you think, what am I looking at? So what does this mean to me? And now what am I going to do with it? Okay, so our first poll today, who has already reviewed 2021? Was it a useful process? And have you created a plan with the information revealed in that review? I'm just going to give you sort of 30 seconds to answer those questions so we can see what's going on. Okay, and if we can bring up the second question.
That requires more thought.
Yeah. Was it actually useful? We seem to be leading in the no, it wasn't category. Okay, and then we'll bring up the third question. Have you created a plan with the information revealed in the review?
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Just as we thought, Jackie, most people haven't reviewed last year, and those that have didn't find it useful, and there's a lack of planning with the information. Can we share the results on screen? No, okay. So moving along, as revenue managers, we are incredibly good at reviewing our KPIs. Our KPIs are our key performance indicators. So as revenue managers, we're really, really good at looking at our occupancy. Quite often people will come out with statements like, hey, my hotel achieved 52% occupancy last year, and that was down on 2019. Or they might tell you things like, my average daily rate grew by $2. What does that really mean? Are we actually looking at the trends, like what happened by day of week? How did our Mondays perform? And what are we doing with that information? How did the months perform? How has their behavior changed? Did we grow our RevPAR? What did we do to grow the RevPAR? What was effective? Has our length of stay changed, or our lead time? What are we doing to influence that change? Has our booking source changed? Did we get more bookings from the OTAs or less? What did we do to influence that change? And are we happy with those changes? You can't just look at the numbers. You actually have to look at the numbers and the commentary that goes around them. Maybe we compared last year, so 2021, to 2020. But is that really relevant? There was a lot of upheaval in 2020, a lot of restrictions and governments closing borders. Flights were grounded and people went into lockdown. So if you compare to 2020, is it a useful process? Maybe you thought I will compare to 2019 because 2019 was the last normal year. But actually, our customers' behaviour has changed in the interim. So if we are comparing to 2019, are we getting a good insight into how our customers thought? When we analyse data, we can't analyse in a vacuum. For example, I can look at these numbers on the screen right now and go, CRS, it was up, it was green, and that's good. I like green. Direct was up, it's green too. But oh no, GDS was down, it was red. Oh no. And brand, well, that's yellow, so that's in the middle somewhere. But oh, maybe it was okay, it wasn't red. But really, what do these numbers mean? What was I doing to influence these numbers? What was my behaviour? Did I invest a lot in working with CRS to grow those numbers? How much time, how much energy, how much money did I invest in growing CRS? What was the return on investment? Did I grow my profit? Maybe my OTA is down, so I'm getting a red traffic light, but actually that is good because I have cut commissions and grown profit. I have shifted market share to CRS, which has a lower cost of acquisition. I can't just look at my numbers and go good, bad. I need to think what the commentary is around those numbers and whether my behaviour affected positive change and profit. When I look at numbers, I need to make sure that I understand my KPIs. What were my KPIs as a revenue manager? Was my KPI to grow transient? And oops, transient declined. Or maybe my KPI was to grow group business. My GM said, I want more base business, Tammy. We need some more group business. We just need to go after something to fill this hotel. Therefore, actually, all my efforts were rewarded because I grew group business by 314 percentage points. My KPIs need to work with sales and marketing. So, for example, was my KPI to focus on growing group business, but actually sales and marketing's KPI was to focus on growing transient. Then we're working against each other. You need to make sure that you are all working to grow GoPar. You all need to be working on the same goals. You need to think about government restrictions. What happened last year? What borders were open and closed? Who was in lockdown? Where do your customers come from? Could they get to your hotel or were they in lockdown? If this border closed, what did it do to your business? If this border opened, what did it do to your business? What incentives did you put in place to change the way in which your customers behave? And what effect did that have on food and beverage, accommodation, and spa? You need to review this because you need to know what you can do this year to grow your business. We are in year 3 of COVID. COVID is not going anywhere, and we need an emergency toolkit of activities to put in place should borders open and close again, should lockdowns happen. If the government does X, I need to do Y. Costs. Now, have your costs changed year on year? So we've just got a little poll here. I'm just going to start a poll. Do you know what it will cost in 2022 per occupied and unoccupied room? Okay, it seems to be about a 50-50 mix of people knowing and not knowing, which is fantastic.
Much better than I expected.
I know, I'm impressed with that. Our costs are incredibly important. We must understand them. We all live in houses, run our own homes, and we are aware that one of the big changes over the last 2 years is in costs. Our rent, our power, our utilities have all gone up. The same has happened in our hotels. So you need to understand what has happened to costs, because when you are pricing your hotel, you need to know whether you are going to create a profit. Some costs are fixed and some are variable. For example, commission, labor, and laundry. Your costs have a big influence on whether your business, now it's not a hotel, it is a business, I like to use the term business, is going to make a profit. You also need to understand, how much does it cost if my room sits empty? How much does it cost if I sell that room? The reason you need to know this is because in some hotels, for example, at 50%, you only need one receptionist, whereas at 70%, you need two receptionists, and at 90%, you need three receptionists. Where are the tipping points that you require more staff? Where are the tipping points that your utilities or your rent increases? Therefore, what are the tipping points for your occupied rooms creating a profit? You need to know this as a revenue manager so that you can price your business for profit. GoPar. Now, if I had a magic ball and I could weave a magic spell on revenue management, the first thing I would do away with is ADR, average daily rate. As a revenue manager, I can create a fantastic average daily rate because I can only sell one or two rooms and it'll look amazing. Look at me. I made $195 ADR. Aren't I great? Did I sell any rooms? Did my business make a profit? So while I'm getting rid of ADR, I want revenue managers to start looking at GoPar, or gross operating profit per available room. You might not actually have access to this number, but you need to start speaking to your accounts or your GM and getting as much access as possible. GoPar does require a knowledge of staff costs, of labour costs, and that's why it is generally kept a little bit secret. But maybe your accountant can just give you the final number. You need to be looking at this number at all times to know whether what you are doing is growing profit. A business is all about profit, and you must be influencing your GoPar. Benchmarking. Before you give yourself a really nice pat on the back and say, last year I did so well, how did you do in comparison to the other hotels in your market and in your competitor set? Now, STR has a paid version, but they also have a free monthly version. So if paying for it at the moment is a little bit beyond you, enroll in the free version. It is not as detailed, but it will give you some monthly analytics, and you can see how you did in your market. The OTAs have a wealth of information you can compare to the other hotels on that channel. The same as your market managers have a lot of information. So when they ring you to make an appointment and chat to you, make sure you book that appointment, because they will bring out a lot of information and reports that you can use. Maybe you're a member of a management group. What is happening in the other hotels in that management group? What will head office tell you? What numbers will they share with you? What trends can you see happening in your country by looking at all the other hotels in the management group? Maybe you're part of a brand. What's happening at all the Mercure hotels, the Hilton hotels, the Sheraton hotels? Have you chatted to your local tourism association? They'll have some extra information you can have a look at. Or your local council. They will be looking at different numbers. How is the local market performing? What are they putting in place to grow tourism in their area? Networking. When you talk to other people on LinkedIn or at networking events, what are they saying? They're not going to tell you exact numbers, but they are going to give you an idea on what is happening in your local market. Google. Well, we all know Google answers every single question ever invented in the world. So try asking Google. A lot of people write blogs nowadays, and they might have some information within their blogs that give you some insight on whether you did well or not. Because before you pat yourself on the back, you need to see how you did in comparison to other competitors. Okay, so next poll. What else do you review each year? And what else should you review annually? Okay, we'll just give you 30 seconds to tick the box. Some interesting results coming in. All right, is everyone nearly done? And I will publish the results. Okay, so it looks like, yes, a lot of people are looking at their KPIs. Some are looking at booking at direct website conversion. Social media's got to look in there, and package production. No one's looking at STR though. Interesting. Okay, so call conversion. I know that's a very antiquated concept, call conversion. A long time ago, we were very fixed on phones because, you know, we actually used a telephone to make phone calls. Novel, I know. We tend to use them more as pocket computers now. But statistically speaking, a telephone call has a higher ADR and a better conversion rate. Therefore, why do we forget to look at call conversion? If I said to you, are you looking at your direct bookings? The first thing you're going to think is my website. But actually, direct bookings come on your telephone, via email, and on your direct website. So don't forget call conversion. Who is your top seller in your team? How do they perform in mystery call results? What are they selling? What upgrades are they selling? What is the ADR on phone calls? What is the conversion rate? Do you know how many calls you get per day? Do you know who answers the phone? You need to be looking at your call conversion because if you want to grow direct business, the person answering the phone has to reward the customer who picked up the phone to make a telephone call. Events. Now, I know a lot of events were cancelled last year, but governments are intent on making sure they go ahead this year. We are trying to get back to normal. And event companies want to start making some money again. So they are pulling out all the stops to try and make events COVID safe. We just had the Australian Open happen in Australia. You might have heard about it. There was a little bit of controversy involved. So what events have you got scheduled for this year? Did they happen last year? And if they did happen last year, how did they go ahead? How did they perform? How did the government and the event organizer make sure it happened COVID safe? Now you need to understand what needs to happen this year to make that event go ahead, because you need two plans around any events in 2022. One, the event goes ahead. Two, the event cancels. What are you going to do if the event cancels at the last minute? What is the likelihood of that happening? Who are the customers that are going to come this year? For example, the Grand Prix, traditionally international visitors. But if your borders are closed or people are not really traveling internationally, who's going to come for that event now? Is it going to be domestic travellers? And if so, will domestic travellers pay the rate you want to charge for Grand Prix, the rates you used to charge in 2019? Are domestic travellers going to stay as long? You need to review last year's events to work out what to do this year. Guest reviews. Now, so often I get told guest reviews are all lies. Customers lie. Our hotel's really not that. Now, a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of speaking to a prospective customer. She rang me up and she said, Tammy, I want you to grow my revenue. I want to sell my property, but I need to make it look profitable before I sell it. So I found out the name of the property, and as she's talking, I'm doing a little bit of Googling. My first question, are your photos indicative of the quality of the property today? Oh, yes, 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 yes. I get to the Google reviews. Now, the Google reviews told me quite a different story, because the Google reviews were telling me tired property, in need of renovation, dirty, tired, in need of renovation. There was a trend there. The next trend I noticed was rude staff, rude on reception, not a happy staff member, unhappy staff members, don't like the staff. Two trends. I'm not looking at the 5-star reviews or the 1-star reviews. I'm looking at the trends in the middle. This lady had an average score of 3.3. I had to tell her that I can help grow her revenue. I can do that. I've taken properties from 10% occupancy to 70% in 6 months. I know how to do that. But for her, the first thing she needed to do was improve her review score, because the money is at 4 out of 5 or 9 out of 10. You cannot make money until your review score reflects quality product. You as a revenue manager must be looking at your review scores and looking at the trends. Market segment changes. How have your customers changed in the last couple of years? You may have been a predominantly international market, but we've had to fall back on domestic travellers. So who are your customers now and how have they changed? What is their average age or income? What sort of cars are parked in your car park? What social group are they? Are they baby boomers, millennials, Gen X, Gen Y? Are they families? Are they double income, no kids? Who are travelling? What gender are they? Are they females or males? Are they coming for spa weekends or golf weekends? What do your customers want, value or need? You need to understand who your customers are, because if they're predominantly families and you've only got 10 family rooms, how are you going to go after more family bookings? You're already filling your family rooms. What if your rooms are sitting empty? What customers would normally book those, and how can you get them? You can't sell to customers that you don't understand. You need to know who they are so you can target them. Website conversion. On average, we say that it is a 5% conversion rate for hotel websites. That means for every 100 people that visit your website, approximately 50 will go to the booking engine and 5 people will book. How many people visit your website on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis? How long do they spend on your website? What pages do they visit? And what pages do they not visit? Your website is your digital real estate. If people are not visiting part of your website, you are not getting a return on the investment for that page. Therefore, you need to make a plan to fix that. Where do people enter and exit your website? Where do they come from? Where do they go to? How many actually visit your booking engine and how many book? An exercise you may wish to complete is, if I have 30, 50, 100 rooms at my hotel and I want to fill all of those rooms by direct bookings from my website, how many people do I need to visit my website daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly? That number rapidly gets very, very big. If you want to increase conversion, you need to make sure you are upholding your end of the bargain by giving customers something they want to book. Social media. Facebook knows so much about their customers. It's amazing. Use it. Now, with social media, it's not about being a Kim Kardashian and having 10 million followers. It is about having an engaged audience, an audience that actually want to interact with you. They are far more profitable than having 10 million followers. Which of your posts resonate with your customers? Which ones do they click on? Which ones do they interact with and post comments on? You need to do more of those posts. Which posts don't get engagement? What time of day? What style of post? You need to understand what is happening on social media, because this is your way of forming a relationship with your prospective customers. It is also a part of your sales funnel, because it sends customers from social media to your website where they book. So if you're not getting clicks and you're not getting engagement, well, people are not heading to your website to book. You need to use the information you can get on social media to understand more about your audience to then sell to them. Promotions and campaigns. I noticed that a lot of people had reviewed the performance of their campaigns. That is fantastic. Now, there's two reasons we run campaigns. One is we want to get eyes on our website. We want to inspire customers to travel. We want to get people coming to our website. The other reason, we want to shift volume. Now, you might remember the deal of the day that Booking.com used to do quite regularly a few years ago. I worked with a property that from about mid-December to the end of January was absolutely dead. It was in a business area. So throughout the year, my whole focus was, how am I going to fill 6 weeks of the year when there's nobody around? So I would run a variety of promotions, and I would use Booking.com's deal of the day. I would run it now, but I would sell it then. I would load up deals for between Christmas and New Year's, and I would send them out live in May, June, July, August, September. Now, every time I ran one of these promotions, the Booking.com market manager would come back to me and go, Tammy, wasn't very successful. And yet for me, it was successful, because every time I got 10, 20 more rooms for over Christmas and New Year's, I was happy, because I also got another 50, 100 bookings for the time in which I was running the promotion. So I was using cross-rate attribution. Here's my promotion. Look at it. Isn't it pretty? Oh, now you're going to book something else. The other thing I would do with any deal of the day was I would remove the standard room. The standard room was small, and we got a lot of complaints about it being small. It was perfect for one-night stays or corporate travellers who checked in late and checked out early. I didn't want people booking that room type, so I didn't include it in promotions. So again, the Booking.com market rep would tell me, Tammy, if you include the standard room, you'll get so many more bookings. Well, no, I didn't want bookings on that room type. So to me, it was successful because it was achieving what I wanted it to achieve. Some bookings for between Christmas and New Year, and a heck of a lot of bookings for the time in which I ran the promotion. Every promotion has a different goal. You need to review versus the goal, not the number of rooms you achieve for that promotion. EDMs. If you are running an EDM, are you analysing the performance of that EDM? An EDM is a newsletter or an email blast that you send out to your customer database. You need to be looking at your EDM and deciding, was it successful? So, for example, we talk in our industry, 18.45% is the average open rate and 1.72% is the average click-through rate. So, for example, this EDM was sent on September the 10th to 510 people. 111 people opened it. So that was a 22% open rate. Yippee! I was ahead of market averages. However, the click rate was only 0.2%. I was below market averages. So I need to look at the trends of my EDMs and start to think, what am I going to do to change these trends? How would I get more clicks? What do I need to amend in my call to action in my EDMs? You need to be looking at your EDMs based on what the goal was for each individual EDM and looking at the data and deciding, what do I need to do to change? Okay, so next poll. How many Excel spreadsheets do you update daily, weekly, or monthly? Come on, we're revenue managers. How many Excel spreadsheets do you update?
This should be good.
I
Oh,
know.
10 or more. 10 or more, yep.
Maybe I should have had some more categories, 20 or more.
I would have thought there'd be more, the most of 10 or more.
I know.
Hey, some people seem to have
Some have whittled down, which is fantastic. But are they paying for services that that replace the Excel? All right, I'll give you another few seconds to fit. All right. Okay, so 50% of people update 5 spreadsheets, 20% 5 to 10, and 30% are updating more than 10 Excel spreadsheets. Bit scary there. Is that a profitable exercise? Do you get a return on investment for updating those spreadsheets? As revenue managers, this is not the goal. We love our Excel spreadsheets. Oh, these numbers here, they interact with these numbers here, and we've color-coded and we've created pie graphs, and look at how lovely they are. And we've got all this source formatting. Oh my gosh, we love our spreadsheets. However, do you get a return on investment for updating that spreadsheet? As I say to my staff members all the time, analyze something you are going to use. Create a spreadsheet for what you are going to use. If you're going to look at any data, it must have a use. So, next question. For those who reviewed 2021, have you put in place goals for 2022? Let me just find the correct poll to put up. Just give you 30 seconds to update. Oh, it's good to see people saying yes. Oh no, we're getting a few no's. The no's are getting a bit more bold.
Unsurprising.
It is only the beginning of February, Jackie.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, sometimes year-on-year thing. Last year, can we forget it?
Yes. All right. I'll give you another few seconds.
We have got a good group.
We have. That could be they're here to find out more. Maybe the people who have not put in plans, well, they're hiding somewhere. Okay. So I'm just going to end that poll. So 87% said yes and 12% said no. Okay. When you review last year, do you share the insights? One of the biggest things I have seen in 2020, in COVID, in 2021 and 2022, is that we have to break down the silos between revenue, sales, and marketing. Because as I said earlier, we are the people who are in charge of selling our business. We are the people in charge of making sure our businesses are profitable. And we as revenue managers are very good at looking at the numbers, at analysing the numbers. And God bless them, I love my sales and marketing colleagues, but they're not always number people. So when you're reviewing the numbers, do you share the insights with other people? Do you create a joint plan so that everybody can work together on the same goals? Do you avoid analysis paralysis? I'm always telling my staff, stop looking at Excel spreadsheets and get out there and make money. As a consultant, I have to provide a return on investment from day one. I can't sit there analysing spreadsheets all day. I actually have to make money for my clients. When you are reviewing, when you are looking at all your Excel spreadsheets, do you make sure there's a reason for you to look at each individual spreadsheet? Do you ensure that your KPIs, that everybody's KPIs are working for the same goal? Far too often we find in hotels that revenue has a goal to grow ADR, but then sales has a goal to grow group business, which is quite often low ADR, and marketing has a goal that is just to increase conversion. None of these goals work together. When you're reviewing and creating Excel spreadsheets, are they relevant? Are you looking at information that is going to create a return on investment? And when you document it, do you make sure that other people reading can understand it? Now, a very long time ago, I worked in a hotel where the GM had the great idea of having a revenue meeting every week. Fantastic. Along came chef, F&B, FOM, myself and the GM. We're all there. I went along as the good revenue manager, and every week I would share things from STR and P&Ls and budgets, and I'd talk RGIs and APIs and GOPARs and all these big, lovely, jargony numbers. And then one day we were leaving the meeting and the chef goes, "Tammy, can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, chef. What's wrong?" He's like, "What's ADR? I don't know what you're talking about. What's an ADR?" And all of a sudden I realized I was talking a totally foreign language. Chef was incredibly good at what he did. He knew how to run a kitchen. He could make sure his gross operating profit in the kitchen was spot on. He was very good at what he did. He didn't know what I did. I had to stop and make sure that what I was sharing on a weekly basis was relevant to him. I had to make sure that every time I shared numbers, I explained what I was doing. Because far too often we create these pretty spreadsheets and we create all these pie graphs and all these different things. But do we think about who is going to read them? Do we stop and explain ourselves? What is the relevance of this number to you? Once you've reviewed last year, you need to set your KPIs, and they need to be smart. They need to be specific. I am going to grow revenue this year. No, I am going to grow gross operating profit by $2 per day. It needs to be measurable. I'm going to have happy customers in my hotel this year. No, I am going to grow my review score from 3.3 to 4 out of 5. It needs to be achievable. I'm going to grow my RevPAR by $100 this year. Is that achievable? Or would it be more relevant to say, I'm going to grow my RevPAR by 10%? It needs to be relevant. Don't give revenue a goal to make sure that the rooms are clean. That is a housekeeping goal. And they need to be time limited. By the some point in this year, we're going to increase our KPI, our review score. No, make it quarterly, make it monthly, because I know it's the 8th of February today, but let's face it, do we know what we're doing on the 8th of March, let alone to remain focused on a KPI that goes for 365 days? No. You need to make sure that your goals that you're setting, your KPIs, are smart. So you need to review last year, and then you need to sit down and maybe do it with your GM or just do it for yourself and create yourself some smart goals. And remember, everything you review, you need to make sure it goes in your emergency toolbox. We are in year 3 of COVID. If X happens, I do Y. Who is responsible for it? What is going to give me the fastest reward, and what is going to be a slow burn? Who do I need to help me achieve these goals? Who do I need to communicate with? You need to have a toolbox ready to go, because we don't quite know what's going to happen this year with COVID. We can all plan the fact that we are vaccinated and we're going to stay open and borders are going to reopen. But the last 2 years have taught us not to plan. So have your emergency toolkit ready to go. Know what you can do, because 2022 is the year of agility. Anything that you are going to monitor and report on a daily basis, weekly or monthly basis, needs to be KISS. Keep it super simple. And you need to think automation. What can you automate? Because if you test positive and you can't go to work for 7 days, 14 days, however long it is in your area, can your job continue without you? It's no good thinking I want to report on this daily, and then when you call in sick, the numbers don't happen and you don't get that information ever again. So you're going to have big holes in your reporting. Only track what you will use. It's got to be relevant. Remember, we don't want to be those revenue managers spending 320 labour hours creating a budget. We are those revenue managers that are creating a return on investment for our Excel spreadsheets. And what training do you need to put in place to ensure that other people understand what you are doing, what you are tracking, and why? And think continuity. If you leave your position or you get promoted, the next person who comes in needs to be able to continue doing your job. Because at the end of the day, we run a business, and our business is all about making profit. What are you doing? What does it mean? And now what are you going to do? You need to create profit. So in summary, as revenue managers, we need to look beyond ADR, occupancy, and RevPAR. Let's look at costs. Let's benchmark ourselves, test our digital footprint, understand our market and what has changed. Test your promotions. Did they work? What were the goals? Review your repeating events. Make sure that you aren't creating Excel spreadsheets to look busy. Set KPIs that work with sales and marketing. Consider how you're monitoring your performance regularly, and build a plan that allows for speedy responses when the governments change restrictions in your area or in the area from which your customers come. Okay, questions? Jackie, who's been busy in the chat box?
None at the moment. Has anyone got questions for Tammy? You've got a free consultant for, 10 minutes or so. So take advantage, folks. What do you want to ask?
Oh, we've got some lovely locations in there. Bali, Myanmar, Kiwiland. Hello, Kiwiland.
I'd love to go back to Bali and New Zealand. That sounds good. I'd like to go anywhere, actually, with the borders just open.
I just want to get on a plane.
Yeah. Yes. Tammy, I can't believe people don't have questions.
Huh? Maybe we should put up a new poll. See if they... Hang on, where's that last poll?
So what do we do with our year-on-year things? Do we still keep doing year-on-year? Because eventually, I suppose we get to 2024 or something when things might be normal. Do you still do it, but you just don't use it as much this year? What's your take?
No, you've still got to analyze the data, because if you ignore it or leave it till 2024, you're not actually going to return a profit in 2022 or 2023. And there is no such thing as normal anymore. We are living our normal. We're not going to return to 2019 standards anytime soon. So we need to be looking probably monthly. I wouldn't leave it till, end of year, monthly, quarterly, and have a look at different things. And if you can't fit in reviewing everything every month, decide, okay, this month I'm going to look at my website conversion and create a plan around that. Next month I'm going to look at my OTAs. Next month I'm looking at telephone calls. And each time I create a plan. And then come back to your website conversion 3 months' time and go, that plan I put in place, is it working? That plan I put in place to increase call conversion, is it working? And just keep rotating through. We can't work miracles every month, and we do need to use our time wisely. So we can't waste 320 hours writing a budget. Maybe we need to actually think about what we are using our time and how we are using our time.
Yeah, that's a good point, Yeah, and I guess you've got to keep the year-on-year data, even if it's not as relevant at the moment, because you might be comparing to last week or last month instead of last year, but eventually you just need it for the continuity.
Yeah. And you will need to see what's happened, because we are starting to see trends even now. You might be seeing trends when this border opens, this happens. When these people can travel, this happens. And those trends are incredibly insightful to help you plan ahead. Brian in Nairobi, you might be waiting for the UK to reopen and thinking what's happening in the UK, whereas someone else in the Maldives is waiting for a different debt market to open. So you need to be analysing and keeping on top of your data to plan ahead.
So the Maldives are working out how to retain all the people that they had in 2021, right? Because everybody went to the Maldives. There wasn't anywhere else to go, and it's so beautiful. So that's the opposite problem to everybody else. They've got a different problem.
I think maybe you and I should go to the Maldives.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That should be the next location.
We should take a workshop there to the Maldives.
I like your thinking, darling. I will be there.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. Hello, Jackie and Jamie.
Hello.
Thank you for your masterclass. Hello, everybody. I'm Natalia. I'm the CMO of Travel Tech Academy. I'm interrupt your talk because we have 2 questions on the chat box. Maybe you want to ask to pass. I can't say that name.
Where are they?
At the back.
Oh, Q&A. Oh, Q&A one. Right. Sorry.
You're in the wrong place.
No.
Q&A as well. Okay. So if the sales and marketing only focus on occupancy without taking ADR into account, what should we do to improve this situation? And thank you.
Go par, go par, go par, go par. They need to understand the costs involved in acquisition and whether it is creating profit, because every piece of business needs to be viewed individually. And what are the goals of the hotel right now? Maybe we just need some base business to fill us up because we've got bills to pay. Really comes down to what you're trying to achieve this week, this month.
Yeah, and I think that's where you can manage that in your team meetings, where you can show your go par or show the profit or not, or the loss you're making on the rooms that they're selling, so that you can slowly educate them.
And a lot of it is considering what your KPIs are, because you all need to have KPIs that work together. So many times in hotels I come across that the KPIs work against each other. One person will be targeted to grow ADR, another person's targeted to grow occupancy. They can compete against each other. You need to be looking at your KPIs and working together. And yes, Shane, I am totally on board with don't overcomplicate the process. I love keep it super simple. Look at stuff that is relevant to growing profit. We're a business. That's what we've got to do. Okay. Any more questions?
Put our faces up. No, I can't see any. I'm surprised.
I think
okay, maybe you just
very clear.
Maybe you just explain things very well.
Yes.
Thanks, Tammy. That was really good. I'm sure that was very useful.
Yep.
And thanks for your time putting, because it takes a while to put these things together, and I really appreciate that you providing your time to do that for us.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
And thanks, Natalia and Travel Tech for hosting our session.
We are going to remember to all the attendees that they are going to receive a link to do the test and obtain its certificate, its official certificate from Travel Tech and hsmai. Please share it on LinkedIn. Show us that you passed the test, that you're paying attention to this class, and we also want to know who attend this. It's amazing masterclass. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Shaki, for your time.
Thank you, Natalia. Thanks, everybody, for your time. I
Thank
hope
you
you
very
learned
much.
something.
See you next time. Bye.
See you next time. Thank you.